गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नो वन्दे.
Good morning to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. And it's a wonderful Sunday here in Canada at 10:02 a.m. in the morning. And today we're gathering to hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam recital with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, who I treasure so much as good association for me specifically. And it's an opportunity for us to serve together cooperatively to spread the Sankirtan mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda without any adulteration in his teachings, in his books, in his lectures. There's so much information that Prabhupada left with us. Phenomenal. Like some people, they say, Daniel, they talk about writing their own books or reading from other books. In this way, they become enlightened in Krishna consciousness. But we know that Prabhupada painstakingly worked on this project without any deviation. In fact, when Prabhupada was in Toronto, Prabhupada came to Toronto. It was a glorious moment in eternity for all of us. That Prabhupada showed up. I have pictures of him coming in the car and then coming up to the altar when it was, the altar wasn't even constructed actually, Yaśodā Prabhu. It was just, there was a box, but there was no decoration on the box. There was, there were altars there, but it wasn't the grand spectacle of a temple. But that didn't matter, because the whole point was we had an opportunity to show Prabhupada what was the potential of what we were doing. And Prabhupada could see it. I can honestly say I couldn't see it at all. We were just acting more or less under the directions of our spiritual master to try to help him propagate the Sankirtan movement. And Prabhupada came to us out of his causeless mercy to inspire us to carry on with this mission. And so this Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, is specifically for that purpose. And we're designing an oath of allegiance for everyone. It's being prepared now, and we'll submit it out soon to our membership, and they can review it and see if they're prepared to sign this oath of allegiance to the mission. This is very important because our mission is much different than the mission of the ISKCON group now. Very different. And the reason is because we are studying very carefully, everyone, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the way Prabhupada taught us when he was with us in his personal presence. That is the difference. It is not being adulterated, concocted, speculated upon, changed. This type of business, the guru business, has been going on for a long time. This hoax that came about specifically during Prabhupada's personal presence and then after. In other words, before Prabhupada departed from this world, the members, some of the members of our group were already plotting and scheming. Now, none of you were there. I was in Vrindavan when this was going on. And actually, I was the chairman of the Temple Presidents Association for the world in 1978 and 79 when their the conspiracy was continually being grown and developed by a few ambitious people who were trying to divide the world up into particular zones where they had their domains or cults. And then it's proliferated into this massive, thing that's taken place. So you'll find it very interesting when you look at the history of the movement, what really happened. This is not some kind of fault-finding business that we're involved in. This is an understanding of history based on the people that were involved. And this is why we have a mission. We have a specific mission to protect Dharma Bhavana, Prabhupada's legacy. This isn't just like we're Bhajananandis. Goshta Anandi, Bhajananandi. What is a Bhajananandi, Daniel? You don't have to answer because it's not now. It's a person that sits at his house and studies the philosophy and chants his rounds, but he never goes out and tells one person about Krishna consciousness. Nobody. He hibernates. Instead of propagate, he hibernates. Propagation is a part of what we do. It's actually very exciting. Sorry for speaking so loud. I apologize. Propagation is the essence of ecstasy. When you propagate, you get the mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master. And so, at the Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association, we're developing tools to assist you. We're working on them. A magazine, a newsletter, a handout, a promo piece that tells about what we're doing and give people. It's not so much that we want to look at the other organization and go, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you did this wrong. Okay. And I find that most people are quite interested in this subject. In fact, we're going to be running some courses on it. But the main thing is we have to build our own tools. We have to create our own systems of propagation and preaching, and then carry on and march and proliferate what we're doing. We're active. This is an army of soldiers. You can be a Goshta Anandi. That's fine. We're not criticizing, but some of us realize we have a destiny. Destiny is different than anything else in your life. Your destiny. There's a famous saying from Stephen Covey: sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. What will you be known for in your life? What are you going to be known for? What did you do? Because that'll determine your destiny. And if we work together cooperatively in this group, then we have a destiny to save Prabhupada's legacy. Believe it. This is not about personal self-aggrandizement. This is about people coming together with a common purpose and working towards its success. Working. If you can donate money, do that. If you can spend your time, do that. If you can, whatever activities that you can do, engage them in Krishna's service and Prabhupada's mission, and that'll be a success. Because Prabhupada put up so much austerity and difficulty. Oh, Krishna, that's my computer. Put up so much trouble and austerity and difficulty to come here. And by the way, I'm sorry for speaking so much, but I'll end my little opening. Krishna consciousness is very simple. It is very simple. If you study it carefully, you'll realize, and Prabhupada had said that in Toronto at the opening of the temple on the Sunday feast lecture, Look at my boys. It was all of us he was looking at. He was so proud that we had somehow or other, by Krishna's arrangement, purchased this $45 million building now. That's what it's worth. $45 million. He looked at us, he says, my disciples, all they do is they chant and dance and take prasadam. And in this way, they can go back to Godhead in this simple process from Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada came with this mission to save the conditioned souls, and we are here to help him. And we're going to go to the pictures here that I've put up. Now, fortunately, I know where we are today. We're at Wednesday, September 15th. Look at this. Look at this picture, Daniel. Look at that suitcase. When Prabhupada came to Toronto, he just had a little plastic suitcase. On August 13th, just a few days before his 70th birthday, a determined Prabhupada mounted the gangway of the cargo ship Jaladuta and took the first steps of his journey as Krishna's emissary to the West. Oh, yeah. Just meditate on this, Prabhus, please. Understand how fortunate we all are. It is very rare to meet either a pure devotee or a disciple of a pure devotee. It's not just by chance or accident. It is by the blessings of Krishna that Prabhupada made Prabhupada disciples. This is not whimsical. This is scriptural. There's a big difference between whimsical behavior and scriptural behavior. Know that. Okay, let's go to the next page there, young man. I'm speaking about Vinkat Bhatta, Prabhu, 34. On the night of his heart attack, Śrīla Prabhupāda had a dream. Lord Krishna, along with his incarnations, was rowing a boat, and the boat was pulling Śrīla Prabhupāda's ship all the way to America. And look, there's Nrsingadev protecting, and Lord Chaitanya there. And all Prabhupada's, all the demigods helping, and incarnations helping. And there, look at that beautiful photograph, or that painting of Prabhupada there, and Krishna beside him. Jai Duta Sri Krishna, messenger over the waters. Remember, he cleared the ocean. Prabhupada said that he cleared the ocean, Krishna, so that he would have a safe journey and he wouldn't pass away due to heart attack. So meditate on this, Prabhus. Be inspired. Don't be just a Goshta Anandi, a ghost. Be a Bhajananandi. Preach. Work cooperatively. Please, we beg you. Let's move forward here. I have no devotion. Prabhupada getting off the ship here. So beautiful, eh? Amazing. It almost brings tears to our eyes. Actually, it does. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta. And now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Here's the picture of Bhaktisiddhanta, his spiritual master, and his main focus: to carry out the orders of his spiritual master. Do we have the other page there, Vinkat? Yes. And look at that. Delivering the message. Very simple. This philosophy is very simple. It's because we're so fallen, we couldn't figure it out. Or we're still trying to figure it out. By his, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's strong desire, the holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world, in all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams. Everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. And look at that. And it's come to pass in a way. In the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions of flood of spiritual ecstasy will certainly cover the land. When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnava's desire is then fulfilled. And there's Prabhupada. We see all the beautiful photographs that we put up with all the devotees that he attracted back then in those days. And how we're still carrying on in a meager way, but working forward, moving forward, not backwards. Okay, and here we have the next photo. Oh, emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. And we've been reading about Srimati Radharani in detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita at our Wednesday evening classes and discussing. It was a very elevated, it's actually the postgraduate study of spiritual philosophies. Very elevated. So please, by all means, invite your friends, your family members, new people to come and join us at these sessions and take 4.5 hours out of your week to fix your mind on the transcendental sound vibrations coming from Prabhupada's bona fide disciples reading his bona fide books. And here we have, look at this. The next page, look at that beautiful Bhagavatam. I have mine. Unfortunately, somehow or other, my original copies went somewhere else, but I do have the brand new, or they're the reissued copies of Bhagavatam. And it's my treasured possession to have them. I personally like them. They're my favorites because they're so authentic. Just like Prabhupada's writings in 1944 in his different articles he was producing back then in India. So it's such an amazing history of his hard work and effort to help people get out of the entanglement of birth and death. My mission is to revive a people's God consciousness, says the Swamiji. The Butler Eagle ran an article, that's when he was in Pennsylvania, on Śrīla Prabhupāda just 3 days after his arrival in the USA, designating him ambassador of Bhakti Yoga. And he was doing it. He had 5 trunks of books that he had printed, written and had printed in India that he brought with him from India to America. And that was the foundation of how he started to spread this Sankirtan movement. And finally, the mind of the pure devotee is always fixed firmly upon the lotus feet of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who appears in the land of Vrindavan as a simple cowherd boy, yet is the cause of all causes, is Krishna. The transcendental, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lives in his holy name and lives in the heart of our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, who is ever living with us in his Vani incarnation. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. We'll move forward with the Kirtan, bhajan of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we'll have the wonderful class from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the 1962 version, with His Grace, the bona fide disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu from Twain Harte, California. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Haribol. Has the first mate left the ship?
Gopijana Vallabha Givaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Givaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Disciples Association, Prabhupada Disciples Association, अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। सौभीत भक्तविंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this Sunday morning, at least in California in the East Coast, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading and discussion. As with every week, we read a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Canto 1, Chapter 2 to explain the benefit and potency of hearing this great literature, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as well as explaining the process of bhakti. From Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Srinvatam svakata Krishna punyashravana kirtana ridyantastoya bhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-17, text 18. Nashtaprayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-18. Text 19. tadarajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye teranaviddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Text number 20. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhaktir yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. It should be noted that we are reading from the original 1962 version of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the New Delhi edition, and also all synonyms, translation, and purport from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Today we'll be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text number 1. Iti bruvanam samstuya muninam dirgasatrinam vriddaha kulapatihi sutam bahu vruchaha sonako abravit. Iti, thus, bruvanam, speaking, samstuya, congratulating, muninam, of the great sages, dirga, prolonged, satrinam, of those engaged in the performance of sacrifice, vriddha, elderly, kulapatihi, head of the assembly, sutam, unto Suta Goswami, Saunaka, of the name, abravit, addressed. Translation. On hearing Suta Goswami thus speaking, Saunaka Muni, who was the elderly and learned leader of all the rishis engaged in that prolonged sacrificial ceremony, congratulated Suta Goswami by addressing him as follows. Purport. In the meeting of learned men, when there's any congratulation or address for the speaker in the meeting, the qualification of such congratulators shall be as follows. He must be the leader of the house, an elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Sri Saunaka Rishi represented all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Suta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as he exactly heard it from Shukadev Goswami, and also by his personal realization. Personal realization does not mean that one should attempt to show the vanity of one's own learning, trying to surpass the previous Acharya. I'm going to repeat that sentence because this is very important. Personal realization does not mean that one should attempt to show the vanity of one's own learning, trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he may be able to present the matter just for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No interesting meaning shall be screwed out of it, and yet it may be presented in an appreciable manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization. The leader of the assembly, Sonaka, could just estimate the value of the speaker, Sri Suta Goswami, simply by his uttering yataditam yata matihi. And therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. No learned man may be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. So the speaker as well as the audience were both bona fide in this meeting, where Bhagavatam was being recited for the second time. That should be the standard of recitation of Bhagavatam, so that the real purpose can be served and Lord Sri Krishna can be realized without any difficulty. Unless this situation is created, Bhagavatam recitation for ulterior purposes will be useless labor, both for the speaker and the audience. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadanastrinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishtasat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There are some very important points both in this verse and in this purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. But first, when we look at Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 44, the last verse in the last chapter, there's some very important Sanskrit words used there called yataditam yatamatihi. And Prabhupada explained, Sava shravayishyami yatadhitam yatamatihi. I shall just try to make you hearing the very same thing as I learnt it from him and as I've realized it. And then there's very important points made by Śrīla Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, one can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam, if one has heard it from his self-realized great souls like Shukadeva Goswami. One cannot, however, learn Bhagavatam from bogus hired reciter whose aim of life is to earn some money out of such recitation and employ the earning in the matter of sex indulgence. Nobody can learn Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam who is associated with person engaged in the business of sex life. That is the secret of learning Bhagavatam. Neither one can learn Bhagavatam from one who interprets the text by his mundane scholarship. One has to learn Bhagavatam from the representative of Shukadeva Goswami and nobody else. If at all, one has to see Lord Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam reading. Now, this is a very important point. Now, somebody recently asked me, why do you and Vishwakarma seem to repeat the same points again and again? And basically my answer, well, we're not trying to repeat the same points. We just follow Prabhupada's example. We're trying to present what Śrīla Prabhupada is giving from different angles, just like Śrīla Prabhupada has presented the same subject matter from numerous angles. Now, in this particular text, it's important because all the rishis are assembled there in Naimisharanya, and thus Sonaka Rishi congratulated Sutta Goswami. And Prabhupada is explaining in the purport what is the qualification of a proper representative. Prabhupada explained personal realization does not mean that one should attempt to show the vanity of one's own learning, trying to surpass the previous Acharya. Now, as all of you know, we have seen since the departure of His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda, certain disciples who've made their own commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. There's no need to mention their names here. But the point is, if the Acharya has already given a commentary, has already explained a particular literature, there's no need to do that again. Prabhupada explains, the original purpose of the text must be maintained. No interest in meaning shall be screwed out of it, and yet it may be presented in an appreciable manner for the understanding of the audience. Which comes up to the point here that people will say, why are you guys criticizing? Who do you think you are, Yasoda and Vishwakarma and all of you, to criticize other devotees? No. We're not trying to criticize. We've often explained this point. What we are interested is fact-finding as opposed to fault-finding. Fact-finding to analyze certain situations to understand the proper conclusion. Now listen to what Prabhupada says in this purport in the middle. Prabhupada says the leader of the assembly, Sonaka, could just estimate the value of the speaker, Sri Sutta Goswami, simply by his uttering yata ditam yata matihi, and therefore he was very glad to congratulate him in ecstasy. And then Śrīla Prabhupada says, no learned man may be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. In our case, we consider His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of ISKCON and the Krishna Consciousness movement, as that person, the original Acharya of the modern movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, the ambassador of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the position, the exalted position of this great soul. Now, just yesterday, a devotee from Asia sent me a video, and he wanted some comments. It was a video of a sannyasi in India based in Andhra Pradesh. Incidentally, his robes are like the color of a Mayavadi, red, but that's besides the point, where he was criticizing the Ritviks for not making the difference between prakata and aprakata. Prakata means manifested living presence, and aprakata means the non-manifested presence. Well, the fact of the matter is we make a very important distinction, except that they have the wrong emphasis. We've often discussed a Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam lecture, which His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda gave in Los Angeles on the 13th of January, 1969, in Los Angeles, California, where Prabhupada explains the position of the great acharyas. And Prabhupada explained what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. Now, this is a very important point. We see that Bhaktivedanta Thakur, in the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, India, he had a beautiful marble plaque installed with the famous poem, "He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die." Here's that quotation from that lecture. So although a physical body is not present, the vibration should be accepted as the presence of the spiritual master vibration. What we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. Now the point is, are we going to accept these statements of Śrīla Prabhupada or the misinterpretation of some motivated persons who are trying to emphasize their physicality as opposed to Śrīla Prabhupada's eternal presence? In 1976 in Bombay, Śrīla Prabhupada was discussing what happened to his Guru Maharaj institution. Prabhupada was criticizing that they never considered with proper common sense whether Bhaktisiddhanta missed the point. The real thing, the real point, did he miss? And Prabhupada said, as soon as he learns that Guru Maharaj is dead, Prabhupada says, now he wants to kill Guru, and he becomes Guru. And in the original audio tape, there's a deafening silence of a few seconds. Then Prabhupada says, then he's finished. It is our duty to use our God-given intelligence to understand that the Acharya, especially a powerful Acharya and spiritual preceptor like Śrīla Prabhupada, is eternally present. And to emphasize that point, not that somebody emphasizes the disappearance of Prabhupada to emphasize themselves. That is not the philosophy. In the beginning of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we've often discussed this because it seems that some people never get it. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them, they never get it. It is described, he reasons ill, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. This is the real way to live with Śrīla Prabhupada. To submissively hear his message, his instructions, and his books. This is not complicated to understand, but for those who have been infected with the disease of personal ambition and self-promotion, it is very difficult to understand. Very difficult to understand. As almost impossible to understand. One of such pretenders in 1979 in Vrindavan, in a meeting of the GBC of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, made an astounding statement. Oh, now that Prabhupada is dead, it's not practical to emphasize him as a guru. It's not accepting reality. I blocked my ears. This is the atheistic, nonsensical mentality of those who are infected with personal ambition. They want to emphasize their physicality. Just see, again, that quote. Thank you, Venkat Prabhu. Prabhupada says, this is Sahajiavad. He's thinking, oh, I have become liberated. I don't require any direction of my guru. I am liberated. Then he's rascal. Why does Gaudiya Math fail? Because they tried to become more than guru. He, before passing away, he gave all direction and never said that this man should be the next Acharya. But these people, just after his passing away, they began to fight. Who shall be Acharya? That is the failure. They never thought why Guru Maharaj gave us instructions, so many things, why it did not say that this man should be Acharya. They wanted to create artificially somebody Acharya, and everything failed. Everything failed. They did not consider, even with common sense, that if Guru Maharaj wanted to appoint somebody as Acharya, why did he not say? He said so many things, and this point he missed, the real point, and they insisted upon it. And they declared some unfit person to become Acharya. Then another man came, and another Acharya. So better remain a foolish person perpetually to be directed by Guru Maharaj. That is perfection. And as soon as he learns that Guru Maharaj is dead, now I am so advanced that I can kill my guru and I become. Then he is finished. Now this is a very important point, because this issue, it seems, is never settled with those persons that are misusing the philosophy given by Śrīla Prabhupāda to try to emphasize themselves as great authorities. Prabhupada would eternally be the Acharya of the Krishna Consciousness movement, both Diksha, Shiksha, and Varma Pradarshaka. Somebody may say, well, if he's not physically here, how is he going to give Diksha? Because he's giving you transcendental knowledge every day. And the ceremony of Diksha, Prabhupada made arrangements that it can be conducted by representatives, also known as officiating representative or Ritviks. But they don't accept that. Oh, they will have so many arguments, so much fighting. Of course, they don't answer our arguments. So many persons have presented counter-arguments for which they have no answer. But answer this question. If Prabhupada wanted to appoint one Acharya, 11 or 111, why is it that during his manifested presence, specifically in the last few months of his presence with us in 1977 in Vrindavan, particularly between April and November 14th, 1977, there's not a record anywhere of Prabhupada appointing any successor acharyas or any initiating acharyas? Where's that record? As a matter of fact, in 1993, several of us went to Vrindavan and issued a challenge to these various individuals that please try to prove to us in writing when Prabhupada appointed you or any one of you as acharyas, and we'll give you $108,000 US. Do you think anybody showed up? Oh, no, they didn't show up, because they know very well they had not been appointed or selected as initiating gurus. It's all misinterpretation and word jugglery. That's why they're very eager. Oh, they're the Ritviks, they don't understand the difference between manifested presence and non-manifested. Oh, we understand very well. It is you, my friend, that does not understand. You're trying to emphasize your physicality and minimize Śrīla Prabhupāda's eternal presence. And we see this every day. Why have you changed the words of Śrīla Prabhupada in his books? Why have you desecrated his teachings with your misinterpretations? Why? Personal motivation. It is not complicated. It is not difficult to understand. Several years ago, I was in Southern California. There's a little place they call Hindu Town, where they have all Indian shops and sweet shops and sari shops, Indian restaurants. So there was a devotee there with a little book table. So I went there and looked at the books, and almost every book he had there was a revised book, a changed book, an adulterated book. When I pointed out to him that some of these books are not original books, he looked at me with a deer in the headlight look. He said, "What do you mean? These are Prabhupada's books." I said, no, these are revised, adulterated books. And he could not understand. He had never heard that before. I said, for example, this Bhagavad Gita, if you look in chapter 4, text 34, in the original book, it says, "He has seen the truth." And I pointed out to him, what does it say here? He says, "They have seen the truth." That is not Prabhupada's words. So in order to promote their idea, they have desecrated Prabhupada's books. That is why they had the audacity and the temerity to file in Washington, D.C., USA, in the United States Copyright Office that Prabhupada was a worker for hire. Oh, so your big realization, your big brain concluded that Prabhupada was like your employee. Wow. Very profound, isn't it? Just see the mentality of such persons. That is why Prabhupada says here, no learned man may be willing to hear a person who does not represent the original Acharya. Every person should evaluate whether these misleaders truly represent the original Acharya Śrīla Prabhupada. If somebody is honest and not duplicitous, and of course a little intelligent, he can easily answer that question. So for those persons who do not comprehend the teachings of Śrīla Prabhupada, who want to twist and misinterpret the teachings to promote themselves, this is a clear warning from Prabhupada. It's not us who say don't listen to them, it's Prabhupada himself who is warning people, anyone. Don't misinterpret the Acharya, don't change his teachings, to whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Śrīla Prabhupada, thank you very much. And further, remember this, Prabhus, all the members here, that when you get a message from the postmaster, you don't kill the person that delivers the message. A lot of times when we present the philosophy and we read from Prabhupada's books, people look at us and think that we're concocting or we're manipulating the words. And they start to fault find us. Of course, fault finding goes on everywhere. Everyone is envious. Prabhupada said that in this material world. Everyone is envious. So this is not the proper mentality. One should just hear the message from a pure devotee. And I wanted to, Yaśodā Prabhu, just go back, I thought, to this opening section of this purport that Śrīla Prabhupada has given us. And Prabhupada explains that there has to be qualified people to present Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the meeting of learned men, when there's any congratulation or address for the speaker in the meeting, the qualification of such congratulator should be as follows. He must be the leader of the house, an elderly man. Elderly man. He must be vastly learned also. Sri Shonaka Rishi represented all these qualifications, and thus he stood up to congratulate Sri Sutta Goswami when he expressed his desire to present Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as he exactly heard it from Shukadeva Goswami, and also by his personal realization. Personal realization does not mean that one should attempt to show the vanity of one's own learning, trying to surpass the previous Acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya And at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he may be able to present the matter just for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. Now, is there any confusion here with any of us on what is being spoken here in this particular section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Is there anyone here who's got, does anybody not understand what is being said here? The point is this. I was listening to a lecture on Vanipedia, a Prabhupada speaking. And Balaram in Turkey, listen to this carefully. He goes like this, and a great mission was destroyed due to whimsical behavior. And that is the Gaudiya Math. Make no confusion with that. The Gaudiya Math had 60 temples established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If you study their history, you'll know that they went into a great conflict with each other after Bhaktisiddhanta's passing from this world to take over the mission. And they subdivided it down into different groups and different cults. And that great mission lost its momentum because of their behavior. Prabhupada says it exactly this way, due to whimsical behavior. This was the situation in the Gaudiya Math. And Prabhupada was a member, not a prominent member, but he was a member, and he was very observant of how things were going on. And he wrote this particular Bhagavatam back in the 50s and 60s, early 60s, and specified this specific point for our understanding, because here in the Bhagavatam today, Prabhupada's talking about how this happened. And is it not the same in the ISKCON group now with us? Hey, Balaram, isn't it the same? Or do you have that experience? I'm asking. You can speak after, of course. Do you have that direct experience? We do. We're not making this up. This is a fact that this situation is very similar to the Gaudiya Math. And Prabhupada gave us direction. By the way, one of the most serious mistakes that was made, Yaśodā, was that people after Prabhupada's demise went to the Gaudiya Math for advice on how to run Prabhupada's mission after his departure, and they ruined it. Sridhar Swami stepped in and started to do things, say things which were not correct according to Prabhupada's direction for us, for his disciples. And it was because of that association that this movement also became contaminated by their misunderstanding of this philosophy. They had already ruined the Gaudiya Math. Prabhupada knew that, and now they would poison ISKCON. And I have practical experience of that, as all of you may know, that Ban Maharaj, now Ban Maharaj, if you don't know who he is, was a preacher from the Gaudiya Math. And Ban Maharaj had gone to England under the direction of Bhaktisiddhanta prior to Prabhupada's coming to America, and tried to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya in England. And after some time, he came back from there. He failed completely. He didn't achieve anything. So there was a situation that came up, in Toronto that we had a friend at the University of Toronto, and if you study the history, you'll know about him, Professor Joseph O'Connell. And he was he was an assistant professor there, and his specialty was Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So naturally, as we started to expand the mission from Gerrard Street, then to Avenue Road to the massive temple, we were becoming friends. Now, this was when we were on Gerrard Street, 187 Gerrard Street. We had about 50 people living in a 3-story house. I think Yaśodā might have visited it. And Prabhupada had come there to see us in 1975. So we had 2 visits with Prabhupada. And what happened was that Ban Maharaj showed up in Toronto under the invitation of Professor Joseph O'Connell to speak at the University of Toronto. And myself and Uttama Sloka Prabhu, we were best friends, we joined the movement together. When we found out that he was there at Joe O'Connell's house, we wanted to go visit him, and we did. Now, Prabhupada wanted us to offer respect to his godbrothers, but we were still very naive. We had no idea about all these details of the Gaudiya Math and its membership. So when we went to see him at Joe O'Connell's house, we spoke on philosophy, and we talked about his translation of Nectar of Devotion. He had that. It was a blue book. I had one. And because Prabhupada had, we hadn't, I don't know if we had those books back then, I can't recall, but at any rate, what happened was we invited him to speak at the Toronto Temple. Oh, okay. So he came to the Sunday feast and he gave the lecture. And then in front of Radha Gopinath, Kirchor Gopinath, he started to weep, tears of ecstasy. Now, there was a large group of brahmacharis living. We were all living together in the house. I think there was 17 of us. And we got up and walked out of the room, because then we realized that this was some kind of whimsical sahajiya behavior to demonstrate these so-called symptoms of tears of ecstasy. This is not the business of the so-called pure devotees. And subsequently, Prabhupada got a hold of me and asked me all kinds of questions when he heard about the fact that Ban Maharaj spoke at the temple. He asked me, was he wearing neck beads? No. Did he have japa beads? We didn't see them. Did he have a danda? No. Did he have a sika? No. And then he sent a letter to me that he posted to give us instruction, us specifically, despite what Bhagavat told me after I sent him the letter, and he's become affiliated with the Gaudiya Math nowadays. Maybe Vinkat Bhatta Prabhu, could you bring up the letter that was sent to me to Vishwakarma Das in regards to this matter, and we can read it on the screen so there is no confusion. Hopefully you can find it. So letter to Vishwakarma. I think it's 670, 75 or 76. Anyway, we'll read it, but basically in the letter, Prabhupada told us, all of us, not just me, do not associate with my God brothers. Have nothing to do with them. Do not read their books. And especially, he told us, do not invite them, not in the letter here. So November 9th, 1975 from Bombay. Scroll down, please. Thank you. So I have now issued orders that all of my disciples should avoid all of my God brothers. Is there any confusion here? Or are you going to shoot the messenger? Prabhupada's giving the message, Balaram. It's very clear here, Prabhu. It's not something that you interpret or speculate on. When you read a legal document, a document is specific. And these specific words are meant to be followed, despite what Bhagavat said to me. Despite him. They should not have any dealings with them or even correspondence, nor should they give them any of my books, or should they purchase any of their books. Neither should you visit any of their temples. Please avoid them. Any confusion? Is there any confusion here with our group? No. There should be no confusion. And if there is confusion, you're in the wrong group. You are in the wrong group. We do not associate with the Gaudiya Math. I went to the Gaudiya Math. I'm sorry for taking so much time. I went to the Gaudiya Math with the devotees when Prabhupada gave us permission in I believe it was 74. And we went to Sridhar Swami's ashram. Bhavananda Maharaj at the time managed to get the permission from Prabhupada for us to go to Sridhar Swami's ashram. And by the way, we did get a chance because I'm a musician. I got our group, a lot of us were musical people. We got to hear Krishna Das Babaji chant. And there's we have the recordings of that chant at the Sridhar Swami ashram. It was quite enlivening for all of us, actually, to hear how wonderful he chanted. And they gave us prasadam, and then we made our way back. So we had an experience directly. Sridhar Swami spoke there, and we were all extremely polite and courteous to everyone at that ashram. It had its merits for us to get an experience of how Vaishnavism was a deep-rooted culture. No question of that. But there are many philosophical issues that we weren't aware of that Prabhupada was certainly aware of us. And in so this way, in this letter to me in 1975, he made it very clear to all of us exactly how we should conduct our affairs. There is another letter that Rupanuga received from Prabhupada. It's a famous letter. And Vinkat Prabhu, maybe you could either post it up for everyone to read. Again, where Prabhupada is specifically giving us direction on how to deal with his God brothers. And despite that, Rupanuga ignored Prabhupada's instructions and went to the Gaudiya Math with Kirtananda after Prabhupada left this planet. Ridiculous. And this guy is considering himself to be some kind of great devotee. You disobey the orders of the spiritual master, you will go down. You are right about Sridhar Maharaj's genuineness, but in my opinion, he is the best of the lot. He is my old friend. At least he executes the regulated principles of devotional service. I do not wish to discuss about activities of my God brothers, but it is a fact that they have no life for preaching work. All are satisfied with a place for residence in the name of a temple. They engage disciples to get foodstuffs by transcendental devices and eat and sleep, like the ISKCON gurus of today. No different. They have no idea or brain how to broadcast the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These gurus are using Prabhupada's assets for their own personal self-aggrandizement, Prabhus, like this Naranjana, like this Radhanath, like all these people. My Guru Maharaj used to lament many times for this reason. And if he thought if one man at least had understood the principles of preaching, then his mission would achieve success. In the latter days of my Guru Maharaj, he was very disgusted. We may sound like that ourselves. Actually, he left this world earlier. Otherwise, he would have continued to live for more years. Prabhupada was surrounded by these people. It was disgusting. And Yaśodā was there. He experienced it in Vrindavan. Still, he requested his disciples to form a strong governing body for preaching the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He never recommended anyone to be Acharya of the Gaudiya Math. And in the same way, Prabhupada never recommended anyone to be Acharya in ISKCON. But Sridhar Maharaj is responsible for disobeying this order of the Guru Maharaj, and he and others who are already dead unnecessarily thought there must be one Acharya. That's what they thought about Kirtananda. Oh, he should be the Acharya. If Guru Maharaj could have seen someone who was qualified at that time to be Acharya, he would have mentioned. That's what Yaśodā was saying. Because on the night before he passed away, he talked of so many things, but never mentioned an Acharya. His idea was Acharya was not to be nominated amongst the governing body or elected. Come on. He said openly, you make a GBC and conduct a mission. So his idea was amongst the members of GBC who would come out successful and self-effulgent Acharya would be automatically selected. So Sridhar Maharaj and his two associate gentlemen unorthodoxly selected one Acharya, and later it proved a failure. The result is now everyone's claiming to be Acharya, even though they may be Kanishta Adhikari with no ability to preach Bhakti Vikash. I saw that video as well, Yaśodā. It was madness. In some of the cants, the Acharya is being changed three times a year. Yeah, that's what they do in ISKCON. They change from one guru falls down, get another one. Therefore, we may not commit the same mistake in our ISKCON camp. Actually, amongst my God brothers, no one is qualified to be Acharya. So it is better not to mix with my God brothers very intimately, because instead of inspiring our students and disciples, they may sometimes pollute them. This attempt was made previously by them, especially Madhav Maharaj, Tirtha Maharaj, and Ban Maharaj. But somehow or other, I've saved the situation. This is going on. We shall be careful, very careful about them and not mix with them. This is my instruction to you all. They cannot help us in our movement, but they are very competent to harm our natural progress, so we must be very careful about them. So we'll leave it at that. It's a wonderful history. These are facts. These are not fabrications. And these are the rules of behavior that Prabhupada has given us, and which we, as a group, the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, are presenting to its membership so that we all know how we properly link with the spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, and we all go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this life. And for myself and Yaśodā and some of our senior members, we won't be around for very long. So we're conducting these Ritvik initiations for that principle of carrying on the mission And the people that do get initiated, they will inherit this understanding, and they will continue to propagate it into the future for the benefit of mankind. Yaśodā-nandana, please. And we have a lot of questions. So
I think it might be better if we let some other people speak and ask questions, because there's not so much time left.
Okay, Vinkat Bhatta, go ahead, your hand's up, please.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to make 2 points. One is, reading whatever we read today, it's clear that Śrīla Prabhupāda did not appoint, Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur did not appoint a successor Acharya, right? And so it's very clear. And, Śrīla Prabhupāda didn't do that either. But when we say that, there's all these people who are against the proper understanding. They say that, oh, you want to end the disciplic succession, that you're saying Śrīla Prabhupāda didn't appoint anyone, you want to end the disciplic succession. So, so in that case, they don't understand that even Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur didn't appoint anyone, even Śrīla Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't appoint anyone. Does not mean it's the end of the disciplic succession. That's their misunderstanding. The other thing I wanted to just bring up here, we've read all this. I wanted to compare and contrast it with current ISKCON. There's this thing, ISKCON law book.
Perfect.
It's a big joke, right? ISKCON law book. And, they have a section here called ISKCON Spiritual Masters, Diksha and Shiksha Gurus, page 59.
Please.
Yes. Do I have that? I guess I'm not sure if I have it, the full thing. Yeah, I do. Okay.
Oh, excellent. And everyone, you can look these things up, or if you need help, you can get a hold of Vinkat Bhatta. Go ahead. Yeah,
these everything's there on.
Please read some sections for us.
Yeah, page 59. These are they have made rules for how they appoint gurus. First of all, we know that guru cannot be appointed by ecclesiastical bodies and this and that, right? But I'm just trying to find the.
Oh, okay.
ISKCON members. Okay. Discipleship. It's pretty crazy. By
the way, I just wanted to comment to everybody about this. Prabhupada never wanted this movement to be run by this kind of system of law, rules and regulations like this. This is completely bogus. Trust me on that. This is so wrong. Go ahead, Vinkat.
So, there's some they list some qualifications for guru, they must be chanting 16 rounds, so many other things. And, well, no one can give Diksha while guru is present. So, they disobeyed their own law with, what's his name? Bhaktivedanta Swami. His disciple is Kadamba Swami, and he initiated so many disciples. Their own laws, it's all just a farce. The other main thing is what happens if the guru becomes hopelessly entangled in sense gratification? I'm just trying to find that section. Hopelessly. Yeah.
Well, I know what they do.
This is a nice.
Go pick somebody else. Go just pick another one. Oh, here it is. Read it.
If a guru becomes hopelessly entangled in sense gratification or material attachments and is unable to function or continue acting as spiritual master for his disciples, he may renounce his position by giving written notice to the GBC with a request for the GBC to give direction to his disciples for their further advancement in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. It's so funny.
Section. If a guru feels for other reasons that he's not able to function
or continue acting as a spiritual master for his disciples, he should submit his case to the GBC to receive direction for himself and his disciples. They made it like a bureaucracy. This is not what this is nothing to do with actual our disciplic succession. It's like a bureaucracy, mundane organization. And what's interesting is they specifically outlawed doctrines and practices. They forbid talking about the zonal Acharya system. That's no one can talk about it. The posthumous Ritvik doctrine, they call it posthumous Ritvik doctrine. So we should
read
talk
that.
about
Read that. Read what
the doctrine that Śrīla Prabhupada continues to initiate direct Diksha disciples after his departure from this world through officiating priests, Ritviks, is a dangerous philosophical deviation. It is totally prohibited in ISKCON. No devotee shall participate in such posthumous Ritvik initiation ceremonies in any capacity, including acting as Ritvik, initiate, assistant, organizer, or financier. No ISKCON devotee shall advocate or support its practice.
Wow.
So, I mean, this book has a lot of fun stuff, but yeah, just wanted to bring that up.
It's unlimited. You know, we're going to run a course on this, everyone, on this guru system, etc., separate from the classes. It'll be an extensive course being conducted with serious God brothers. I see we have Nilesh. Let me see your name. Nilesh Dalal. Prabhu, you've got your hand up. Please.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Share your thoughts with us.
Yes, I'm Neil Shamadas. Unfortunately,
Yes.
it doesn't show up on the Zoom part.
What's the name?
I'm
What's the name?
Neil Shamadas.
Okay. And what's your position?
So my position is I'm from Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Mhm.
And, you know, pertaining to what we were discussing today about Gaudiya Math and the fake gurus of ISKCON,
Yes.
I got initiated in at the Radha Damodar Mandir in Boston by India Heritage Foundation through Śrīla
Okay.
Prabhupada, through ISKCON Bangalore.
Excellent.
So my question is this, is in Miami recently, Jadurani Mataji, who calls
Who?
herself some other name.
What was the
Jadurani
name?
Mataji.
Okay, yes.
Jadurani.
Yeah,
Jadurani
Jadurani.
Mataji.
Yes, we know her. Go ahead, please.
Yes. So she has started a center in Miami.
Yes.
And I had the pleasure of meeting her twice. One before the
Okay.
center was opened, and then once she opened the center, some of the ISKCON Bangalore devotees from New Jersey wanted to meet her, so I went with them to meet her. And she has a big house and everything, where she has on the altar not just Śrīla Prabhupada, but many other Gaudiya Math, should I say, devotees or gurus, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is your position, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu's position on this situation? And she doesn't call herself Jadurani Mataji. She calls some other name of hers, which I forget, which I think was the initiated name given by Narayan Maharaj.
Mhm.
So my question is twofold. Number one,
Yes.
is how should we perceive her and our position with respect to our association with her? And number two, if nobody had authorized, or everybody in Gaudiya Math is unauthorized, then so would be Narayan Maharaj, and so would be any initiations which are done on behalf of Narayan Maharaj, Keshav Maharaj, or anybody in that sect. So would it be safe to say that Prabhupada and Prabhupada's disciples are the only current link of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya?
I'm going to give a quick answer, and then I'll let Yaśodā speak. Prabhu, we read it specifically today what to do. There is no confusion. It's that simple. It's like I was saying earlier. Krishna conscious philosophy is very simple. It is truly, it can be very complicated, but it is all we're trying to do is elevate ourselves from the animal state of existence to the transcendental devotional state of existence through practicing the rules and regulations that Prabhupada gave us. So the answer is already there in what we read. Obviously, this lady, we should give them respect. Haribo, should respect all living entities. And at the same time, Prabhupada told us, do not associate with them. Simple, straightforward. We should be involved in what we're doing, not what they are doing. It's not going to help us, and it won't help them. So that's my simple answer. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, further? Very good question. Thank you, by the way, Prabhu. Very nice. Go ahead.
Well, basically, this question is a very important question. We want to show respect to all Vaishnavas, including Vaishnavas whom we may not agree with, people from the Gaudiya Math or other institutions. In this particular case, she was one of Prabhupada's first disciples. She did a tremendous amount of service for the mission of Śrīla Prabhupada. But after Śrīla Prabhupada, it should be noted from a historical perspective how many devotees were kicked out of Śrīla Prabhupada's institution in the early years, 78, 79, 80, like that. She was one of those devotees. She was beaten up and bloodied up in New Vrindavan by Kirtananda's followers because she went there and objected to this bogus idea that Prabhupada had appointed some successors. And in those days, the level of fanaticism and fever for this elected Acharya or appointed Acharya idea was very high. So Jadharani was beat up by Kirtananda's followers. Eventually, she protested this idea that Acharyas were appointed, and eventually she ended up with this Gaudiya Math group led by this Narayan Maharaj. The problem with all these different groups is that they're all involved in the disobedience of either Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada or Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. These different groups do not accept the authority of Śrīla Prabhupada and the system of initiation which he set up. And their primary objection is this living guru idea. Same thing with ISKCON. So the difficulty is when people no longer accept the authority of His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, then it's a big problem. Then the mission becomes divided on account of this nonsense interpretation. It's just like I see that Narayan Maharaj, somebody says, Narayan Maharaj calls Śrīla Prabhupada Swami Maharaj. The minute somebody calls Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, we know, Prabhupada used to say, this shows they're envious. They're envious because they don't want to recognize his accomplishment in preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. In 1972 at Mayapur, several members of the Gaudiya Math, these were senior members, sannyasis who had been directly initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, came to visit Prabhupada at Mayapur. And they picked a fight with our Śrīla Prabhupada, screaming at him, and basically objecting that he was calling himself Prabhupada. And Prabhupada objected. He rang his bell and requested his secretary to bring his letterhead. His letterhead was brought up, and Śrīla Prabhupada pointed out, I do not call myself Prabhupada. My name is Tridandi Goswami A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. My disciples call myself Prabhupada. I do not call myself Prabhupada. And they shouted at Śrīla Prabhupada, they protested against Śrīla Prabhupada, they argued against him, and we were outside of the room. Prabhupada was living in a bamboo hut at Mayapur, which is just outside the gate. And Prabhupada basically explained to them, tried to explain to them that he was not calling himself Prabhupada. So eventually they stormed out of the room, protested, they stepped over the prasadam that had been cooked by Ananda Prabhu, who was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's personal cook, and they left. Prabhupada afterwards, we went into his room, and Prabhupada said, they are just simply envious over this issue that you are calling me, my disciples, Prabhupada. So those people that refuse to call Prabhupada by his proper name, Prabhupada, on account of his accomplishments of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, we feel really sad for them of their envy and resentment against His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. that they refuse to call him by his proper name. And we see this on their websites. We see this in their behavior. They do not accept his position. So Nilesh Prabhu, it's a very important question. And we are very appreciative of the work that ISKCON Bangalore is doing in promoting Śrīla Prabhupada and worshiping Śrīla Prabhupada as the exclusive Diksha Guru of ISKCON. But many of these devotees do not accept that. Well, we feel unfortunate for them. This is the poison coming from the Gaudiya Math. In some of their websites, they have all these different acharyas. But unfortunately, if you look at the letter from Prabhupada to Rupanuga on the 28th of April, 1974, Prabhupada directly said, amongst my God brothers, no one is qualified to become acharya. So all of these people that independently became acharyas, that is the disease of the Gaudiya Math. Independently became acharyas without the authorization of Bhaktisiddhanta. Same problem in ISKCON. They claimed they were appointed by a separate conversation. Well, sorry to say, that conversation on the 28th of May, 1977, did not appoint anybody. Nobody was being appointed by that conversation. The only written authorization Prabhupada gave was on July 9th, 1977. It was reconfirmed at the end of the same month when Prabhupada said, continue to become a Ritvik and act on my charge. The same disease of personal ambition which had infiltrated the Gaudiya Math also infiltrated ISKCON in 1977. And then I know this is a very long topic, a very complex topic for many persons. We will deal with this in a couple of special event sessions. Venkat Bhatta Prabhu has already compiled many questions to deal with, and we will explain the facts. We've already explained the facts many times in these various classes, but we will continue to deal with this issue, and we will keep you all posted. I believe that Balaram Prabhu in Turkey has had his hand up. Balaram Prabhu, if you could please ask your question, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is my sound okay?
Yes, it's very nice.
Sound is
Yeah.
fine. That'll be the
I wanted
last
to-
question for the
Yeah.
for the session.
Yeah, the question was back actually to the class purport where Śrīla Prabhupada says about, because I had this question about realized it personally. Prabhupada says it in the purport that realized it personally. So then Prabhupada says he must have full confidence, meaning the person who gives a Bhagavatam class or such Sangha like this. He must have full confidence in the previous Acharya, and at the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. So we have two situations that I want to ask you about. In Prabhupada's physical presence time, there were devotees all over the planet giving classes. And right now also, devotees are all over the world giving classes, whether it's PDA, whether it's Bangalore, whether it's other groups of devotees. So for us, what is, this no obscured meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. So can you please, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, say something about that for us, like how to do the class, maintaining Prabhupada's way at the same time? I don't know, I've heard Prabhupada said, speak in your own language, speak in your words and give the class like that, but maintain the correct understanding.
Well, it's pretty simple. Ideally, people should read from Prabhupada's first edition original books and present the essence of what Prabhupada is saying. It's not complicated. It only becomes complicated when people have an ulterior motive or a personal motivation or a personal agenda, trying to present the philosophy and trying to twist what Prabhupada is given and give it some personal meaning. I mean, I don't know exactly what you're inferring here or what you're directly saying. I mean, Prabhupada is fairly clear in his purports, in his lectures, in his conversations. He's giving many, many different, for example, if you take a verse from Bhagavad Gita, right? Right now we're in our classes, we're in chapter 10, text number 8 and 9. And if you look in the Vanipedia, Prabhupada gives many different classes on the same text, particularly that text number, chapter 10, text number 8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavu. And Prabhupada deals with that verse from many, many different angles, in many different situations, in many different purports in his books, in many different lectures, in many different conversations. So we have to use our God-given intelligence to very carefully understand and study carefully what Prabhupada is giving. I mean, I'm trying to understand here. Prabhupada is just like this idea that some disciples have had to write their own commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, their own Bhagavad Gita book. There's no need for that because Prabhupada has already given his commentary.
I'm only asking about Bhagavatam classes.
Well, it's the same principle. It's the same basic fundamental principle. People should not screw out or invent a meaning which is not there in the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
simple as that.
Yeah, see, Prabhupada, then can you elaborate a little bit more on this? Prabhupada says that the next sentence, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. What is that? Can you elaborate on that?
That's what we're trying to do. That's what the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association would discuss things from various examples, from various angles, trying to make it interesting for the audience and discuss things which are also being discussed practically by many persons all over the world. This issue of living representative, living guru, prakat or aprakat, or manifested presence or non-manifested presence. I mean, when Prabhupada says that what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living, that is not very complicated to understand. Although my original language was French, I don't have very high education in the English language, but a person doesn't have to be a PhD in English grammar to understand that point. You understand this. We understand this. When Prabhupada says he lives forever by his divine instructions and a follower lives with him, that is also not very complicated to understand for an honest person. For a person who doesn't have personal motivation, that is easy to understand. When Prabhupada says, when he was asked by the reporter in Berkeley, California in 1975, what is going to happen to the movement when you die? And Prabhupada's immediate reaction was, I shall never die. I shall live from my books and you will utilize. So there are many, many such statements by Śrīla Prabhupada implying that he will be eternally present in his teachings, in his instructions, in his books. And this is basically what we're trying to promote. It's simple. It's not complicated to understand. If somebody doesn't have personal motivation or a personal political agenda, it is not difficult to understand. If somebody does have a personal political agenda, then it becomes complicated. So,
thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. I see we still have the Prabhu with his hand up, but what we're going to do, Vinkat, if you could pass that information to this Prabhu of Yaśodā-nandana's phone number or direction to get a hold of him. You can personally speak to Yaśodā Prabhu, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu about these matters. You can call myself or any of the other senior members here. We had a lot of people today that I wanted to have speak, but unfortunately we've run out of time. It's 11:45 and this will could go on, and it will go on with us every week, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We'll be back again with the Chaitanya Charitamrita discussion, which is another fascinating look at our transcendental philosophy. And if you want to be in touch with us on any of these matters, please feel free to get a hold of us. Venkat Bhatta, could you put up Yasoda's contact information, if it's possible? Or Yasoda,
all of our information.
Yeah.
I don't think I have it handy right now.
We'll get it
Right.
ready for next time, Prabhu. But Yasoda, give your email address.
Here's my email. My email is yasoda1008 yasoda1008 and feel free to send a letter. Also, Vishwakarma Prabhu is also available on the internet, and you can ask questions, and we appreciate and know the participation of everybody. And I know there's a lot of different groups in Europe, like Balaram Prabhu in Turkey, different devotees in Germany, different devotees in England, trying to promote Śrīla Prabhupada preaching and basically increasing the numbers of followers and students of His Divine Grace, the number of disciples of Prabhupada. ISKCON Bangalore is doing a lot of work with that. Balaram Prabhu, devotees in Germany, Mathurapati in Germany. Also, we have our good friend, Purujit Prabhu in London, England, and there's devotees in India. There's all kinds of devotees promoting Śrīla Prabhupada, preaching for Śrīla Prabhupada, distributing Prabhupada's original books, and we're very appreciative of that. And even on this call, we have Andabhaya Mataji and her good husband, Jiva Goswami Prabhu in North Carolina. They are doing very wonderful work, doing Varnashram project, preaching. And there's, it's not just a few of us here in Canada and United States. There's devotees all over the world doing that. Aprakrita Prabhu in Montreal, Bhakta Ram, Ronald Singh in Sacramento, California. There's a lot of devotees doing very important preaching, and we appreciate all of their work. Śrīla Prabhupada appreciates all their work. We just have to continue our efforts and basically move forward to basically promote His divine grace and His wonderful teachings, and it's as simple as that. And Nilesh Prabhu, you can send us an email. We will answer your questions the best as we can.
Nilesh, what do you have a last comment? And by the way,
Yeah,
we are.
I just wanted to make one comment, Prabhuji.
Yes, please,
with
please,
permission.
Prabhu, go ahead. Go ahead.
With question to what Balaram Prabhuji was asking about is, in what context should we talk about Śrīla Prabhupada's essence? And I was just trying to share with him is that we have a small group. I conduct a small group too.
Okay.
And the best way to communicate this part is the relevance of the knowledge which Prabhupada is giving us through the Bhagavad Gita in the present context. And this could be a discussion in itself. I always bring up the present socio-political situation, like the Hamas-Israel war. How does that marry into our Bhagavad Gita and the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita? And many times Prabhupada talks about non-violence, and even though Bhagavad Gita is spoken on the battlefield, where does the battlefield come in? And how does it correlate to present socio-political situations? Because the newer people, the newer jivas who are interested in it, they want to see the application. And if you show them the application, then you would realize that when you get deeper into the subject matter, it will apply to almost any and every situation. But we have to show them that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Beautiful comment. Thank you. And by the way, Prabhu, please be a part of the army. We are the army. Believe it. All glories to
we need association. And sometimes being alone in a situation where you are the one who's trying to follow Śrīla Prabhupada and everybody else is doing everything what they want, this association with senior devotees like yourself, like Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, which motivates us even more. That yes, we are in the right direction, and that is what is the biggest shot in the arm.
We have a destiny. All of us are together. Yes, Yasoda, sorry.
Just to make a very quick point here, you're never alone. Whether you're in Turkey, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in Twin North, California, or Bangalore, India, or Boston, Massachusetts, you're never alone. It's a matter of how to connect with Śrīla Prabhupada, the pure devotee. For those who are Muslims, they can do their namaz 5 times a day. That's quite fine. Or 3 times a day, depending which specific group they are. And we can encourage them, worship God, offer your food to God, you read Bhagavad Gita, or people can read their Quran, whatever, or their Bible, or their Torah. That is fine. Prabhupada never objected to that. But as far as we are concerned, we're trying to promote the teachings of this great exalted personality, Śrīla Prabhupada. And there's a lot of resources that people can take advantage of. Internet resources, they can listen to Prabhupada's tapes, they can listen to Prabhupada chanting japa, Prabhupada kirtan. It's like I was telling people, somebody asked me, well, what do you do there in the mountains? I said, well, the first thing I get up in the morning, I put the tape of Prabhupada chanting. That's the first thing. Take shelter of the Association of Prabhupada. And I'm sure there's devotees all over the world doing that. So it's not very complicated to understand. It's an easy process. We can listen to Prabhupada's tape. We can listen to Prabhupada chanting. Everybody has to eat. Every day people have to eat. So you cook, offer the prasadam to Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. It's as simple as that. And in this way, always associate with the spiritual energy given by His Divine Grace and move forward. Simple. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Vinkat Bhatta is going to put up our chanting of Hare Krishna led by our founder, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Chant along and keep in touch. We'll keep going. Never give up. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaurabhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaurabhakta-vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaurabhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating. We invite you to come on Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time or 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern USA time, whenever that is in your area. And kindly join us again, and we'll listen to Prabhupada's purports on Chaitanya Charitamrita, that wonderful literature. Thanks everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.